Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to my first episode of Am I Missing Something? I, for this episode, had on my friend JT Kelley, a hilarious comedian and someone I've known for 10 or 11 years now, and I thought it would be fun to start off with something light. So I let JT Kelley, a very silly guy, pick the episode of the Satanic Panic, which was timely considering all of the Epstein stuff. We recorded this just a few days after the latest Epstein file drop on January 30th. I think we recorded February 2nd or 3rd or something like that. And so he chose the Satanic Panic thing regardless of the Epstein drop. But then, of course, we get into a lot of the Epstein stuff and some of the things that we wound up discussing in addition to the Satanic Panic, a subject on which he feels that he is somewhat of an expert. We talked about Satanism in general. That's obviously part of it, but the various forms of Satanism, the Franklin scandal, Larry King, the other Larry King, the Bush family and JFK, Alex Jones, evangelicals, the Dallas Snuffville game, the Finders cult, and the book The Eye of the Chicken Hawk, which really was a big recommendation from JT Kelley for all of us to read. We'll get into all of that. I just wanted to give a couple of notes before I show you the rest of the episode. That a couple of things that we talked about that I want to make a note about. One thing is that JT Kelley mentions in this episode that he starts talking about John Lennon and Lennon's kids and his history of abuse. And I think I've done some research subsequent to recording, and I think he got a number of things wrong about his casual mentions of Lennon. So it seems that JT will assert in the episode that Lennon beat his son that he had with Yoko Ono, beat Yoko and his son to the point where his son got into NFTs, and which that part might be a little bit of a joke on his part, though the son did get into NFTs. I think the connection there might have been really just a joke. But so he seems to have gotten some things off, because the son that John Lennon had with Yoko Ono was only 5 when John was killed, and there doesn't seem to be any evidence that he ever beat his young child, and I don't think necessarily Yoko Ono either. It seems that he was somewhat abusive to his first wife, Cynthia Powell Lennon. So let's see what I've written here. He did admit to variously hitting and abusing his first wife, Cynthia. It's John's first son, Julian, who he had with Cynthia, who gets into NFTs as an adult. And so Lennon, I'm not sure that it doesn't seem like he necessarily beat Julian. It seems like he was distant and neglectful and abusive to Cynthia to some extent, so to Julian's mom. So, and it's possible also that Lennon only hit her once. That's according to the book that she eventually writes. And he did write in a song, though, that he used to be cruel to my woman. I beat her and kept her apart from the things that she loved. So do with that what you will. And it's also in a Playboy interview in 1980, Lennon said, I fought men and I hit women. This is why I am always on about peace, you see. It's the most violent people who go for love and peace. He described himself as a violent man who has learned not to be violent and regrets his violence. So he's talking about confronting his shadow self there. But he said he beat women, so it seems like it sounds like he beat various women to some extent, but I'm not sure that he ever beat Yoko Ono, and I don't think he ever beat his child with Yoko, Sean. But he was somewhat of an abusive guy for a while, and that probably had some effect on Julian, and is perhaps a contributing factor to Julian's interest in NFTs as an adult. So I just want to put that out there because I don't want to be giving misinformation, and if I'm missing something still about any of this, after you listen to the episode, if you want to tell me anything that I might be missing about Lennon's abusive past. I mean, everything of Lennon's is his past because he's dead. But anyway, feel free to write to me at oversherial@gmail.com. Oversherial@gmail.com. Also, we will discuss Michael Jackson very briefly in this episode, and Michael Jackson's one of those areas of interest to me, and I give my opinion. Now, when we had recorded the episode, I had just seen someone mention that Michael Jackson was named in the Epstein files, but I hadn't gotten any other information. Subsequent to recording this, a few different videos have popped up in my Instagram claiming that the Epstein files have actually exonerated Michael Jackson and have actually shown that he was trying to save the children, basically, that Neverland Ranch was a reference to actually making sure that the kids never go to the island. That's a real stretch that I've seen. This idea of that Neverland meant never go to the island. I don't know. So the videos that I've seen are mostly like people reporting on other people saying that Jackson was exonerated. And I think Macaulay Culkin has given some kind of interview saying, yeah, Michael Jackson never hurt anyone in Neverland Ranch. He was actually saving the kids from the Epstein situation sometimes. And my thing about that is just like, I don't think Macaulay Culkin has ever been a reliable witness in this. I mean, he can't really speak. It's actually kind of suspicious to me that he says no kids were ever hurt at the ranch, because how would he know? Was he always there? Like, that's a very strange categorical thing to say. He could say, I never saw anyone got hurt. From all indications, everything I know about Michael, he would never do that. He didn't do anything to me. Like, we had a friendship. He can say all that, but when he makes categorical statements that he can't really make, like no kids were ever hurt at the ranch, it's always seemed like maybe Macaulay Culkin was kind of compromised in all of this. And I can get pretty conspiratorial thinking, and that's why I'm like, I don't know if I can trust myself. Maybe because I've made some Michael Jackson jokes, I'm too invested now in that he was a bad guy. But I just don't know. I'm very curious to hear what y'all think. It just feels to me like maybe some people have taken the opportunity of a confusing info dump that most of the rest of us cannot understand, that and can't dig through, to kind of shoehorn in there like, oh, actually there's information that says Michael Jackson was saving the kids and Macaulay Culkin says it, so here's the new narrative. And it's just such a confusing time. There's so many documents, so many people saying things. There's AI. It's really hard for any of us to know what the truth is and to dig through this. And it's so easy to just say something and have people just assume that you have backed it up in documents. And I'm just not really sure what's going on with the Michael Jackson situation. So please, I would love to hear from anyone who feels like they have a read on this, who has done some research on it. And in fact, if you consider yourself an expert in the topic of Michael Jackson's guilt or innocence, or the complicated tangle of the two and his weird psychology and whatever, I would love to hear from you and potentially have you on as a guest. If you feel you are somewhat or totally an expert in the Michael Jackson situation, then please do contact me at overshariel@gmail.com, oversharielle@gmail.com. And please enjoy the episode. Hopefully that's enough caveating. I mean, this whole episode is about stuff where I can't know if JT Kelley was wrong a little bit about the linen stuff. Maybe he's wrong about everything else, or some else, I don't know. But I thought this was really interesting, and I think it sounds like he's done a fair amount of reading and research, and this conversation may just be more conversation starting, might get you to read some books or check out some videos and look into some topics. And I thought it was very interesting and very timely, considering we're all trying to figure out to what extent our society is infested with PDF files from at every rung of the economic ladder and level of organization or lack thereof. But either way, I think the conversation is really fun and funny, and if you would like to have a somewhat of a funny time dealing with these dark topics, then enjoy me and JT Kelley on the Satanic Panic. Are you comfortable?
As comfortable as I'll get.
Well, I mean, we could make the temperature different.
That's I thought you meant like a beanbag chair or something.
I don't have. Yeah, no, it's not gonna be that comfortable in here.
I would like one of those massage chairs that goes zero gravity.
I saw something on Instagram where it was like a comedian man. I forget his name. It's one of those faces I know, but I don't, know where he's from. But he and another large woman were saying that you should, when you're buying furniture, think about the fattest friend you have, and then say, would they be comfortable?
That's funny.
Wearing this, sitting in that chair, and then you should only buy that. I'm like, I'm friends with too many fat fucks. I can't afford. It's a little classist, isn't it? Like, now I got to buy more expensive furniture. You have to have the space for it.
Yeah. I like that the progressive side of things now is serving fat people too. It's like we're the new blacks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
I'm standing outside of cafeterias being like, widen your doors for me. I'm hungry.
Right. Like, nah, we're not doing that.
I also got my COVID vax early because I'm fat.
Yeah, so you have privileges, or they killed you, or they fucked you up early. Who knows?
They're like super at-risk people, like fat pieces of shit like JT. And I was like, oh, good news here. Gonna give my little shot on my way through driving through Jack in the Box with a mask on.
Yeah, you never know when things are going to be benefits. Like how apparently all like the Epstein people, they didn't like that. No one wanted black kids. So if that little piece of information is to be believed, because you know how like right now Instagram, every time you open it, it's going to be 3 more crazy things. And I don't know what to believe with stuff. I tried to look through some of the files, like with the Peter Attia stuff.
Yeah,
just I searched for Attia. Yeah, and then I read, but because then it's, because I can't take anyone else's word necessarily, but I read through several files, but it was pretty vague.
There's also, the good one is that guy Deepak Chopra.
Oh, yeah, is he in there too?
Oh, yeah. My favorite thing he said is God is a construct, but cute girls are very real.
Yeah.
I like that people are surprised that Indian spirituality is super misogynistic. Yeah. And it's like, no way I could have guessed that.
Right. That's really funny, though.
Talking about these Indian fellas that are the guys that was into the Beatles, the guy that beat his kid so bad his son got into NFTs. Indian spiritualism is super misogynistic.
Wait, Deepak Chopra has a kid who...
Oh, no, John Lennon beat his kid so bad that he's into NFTs now.
Oh, I didn't know that. I guess I didn't even know Lennon had a kid.
Oh, yeah. Yoko Ono?
Yeah, they had a kid together?
Uh-huh. He's like a San Francisco guy.
And then John Lennon beat him?
Beat the shit out of him. He also beat the shit out of Yoko Ono.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
God, what is it? Just like the people who are the most genius, kind of, especially men.
I think it's just men that can get away with it.
And then they can get away with it.
It's because they're smart or rich or charming. Any man that can get away with abuse is probably gonna
do it. Yeah, I never know if what comes first, like the desire to get away with the stuff, and then that drives you to like make money and be powerful, so you can get away with it, or the more money and power you get, the more your like hedonic treadmill is turned up on a really steep incline, so that you need more and more stuff, or like little things become frustrating to you.
I think it's a little mix of both.
Yeah.
I think it's a little mix of both, where if you already have like a dirty heart and a rotten soul, then the things that are offered to you on a platter are the different things that are going to be offered to me on a platter.
Right.
And I don't know.
Yeah, like our temptations at our like income level are just a very different thing. We have to like resist eating too much.
Yeah, free pornography.
And all that. Whereas if you're truly rich, like there are so many temptations that you have to constantly. You're beset by.
Boy pussy must be fantastic. They're just all talking about how it's like your first time in a billionaires meeting. You're like, God. Is 10-year-old boy pussy really that good?
Right? Yeah, you're like, oh, okay.
All these guys love it.
Like, I get the 15-year-old thing, but 10, like, I guess I haven't tried it. Because I think for the God, what a horrible way to start the podcast for anybody who doesn't already have a fucked up sense of humor like we do. But I think it's like, I think everyone understands like why men would want to have sex with teenage girls or boys, whatever their taste is. Even if it's something we still feel repulsed by, and you're like, yeah, it's like misogynistic. You obviously, this isn't about emotional connection for you, probably, whatever. But I think when it, like, for a lot of these people, it's not that they necessarily have like a super pedophile gene where they like are super attracted to prepubescent kids, the ones that wind up having sex with prepubescent kids. And when I say having sex with, because we'll get something if we use the R word. So, but it is R. It's the grape stuff inherently. But if I think those people, it becomes about wanting to get away with it, like that thrill of getting to do something that's so taboo that anyone else would go to prison for. Like I think that's why it's so common for these people to wind up wanting to do something that the rest of us, like, yeah, we would be like, isn't that gross to you?
I mean, I think it has everything to do with like power and mental illness. Because like, I don't think I was a hot 7-year-old. You know what I mean? I don't think I was one sexy little temptation.
Well, maybe not you.
I just think I was a fat little piece of shit. I didn't have that banging body. But I still got my ass molested. It wasn't because I was the cutest little boy.
Yeah.
It was because a guy in power had the opportunity, so he did. You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't know.
And it's
maybe
rampant.
we have too simple view on it. You know
it's also, I mean, I think as we get older, we learn like how much more rampant child abuse is.
It's like finding out everyone does cocaine.
And even in like among poor people, there's a ton of it, right? So then if you're also rich and powerful and can get away with it more, of course, there's going to be a lot more of it happening. I mean, there's so much that's like an open secret, right? And then you know, there's a million documentaries you watch.
You seen Open Secret?
He's the one, but
fantastic doc. Elijah Woods used to talk about it a lot.
Well, perfect. And then you see that like there's always people in law enforcement and the courts who seem to just let these men slide for all kinds of sex crimes, and or have very slap on the wrist kinds of things. And you're like, oh, because they're also in on it. Like they're also doing it.
When I first started dating my wife, I was like, hey, I heard there's this crazy documentary about like the unions in Hollywood and how they've functioned as pedophile rings. We should watch it. It's called Open Secret.
Oh, okay.
So I put it on, and they're like interviewing, you know, actual pedophiles that are union reps for kids, convicted, and they're still union rep for kids. Like, just watch this movie. It's absolutely nuts. About 75% way through the movie, I'm pausing and I'm talking the whole time, like asking questions, saying something. She goes, hey, you've definitely seen this before. And I was like, oh, yeah, no, I'm trying to get you to watch this so you understand why I seem crazy.
Yeah.
Why when I say like, oh yeah, no, so Hollywood's a giant pedophile ring. I'm not talking about Tom Hanks. I'm talking about the pedophiles behind the scenes. Like, we should get these hot kids to wrestle on camera. You know?
Is Tom Hanks also, or is that one?
I don't think so. That's just one. That's like a QAnon thing.
That's
you know
a QAnon thing, but he's like one of the ones who probably actually isn't, right?
Maybe.
I mean, you never know.
You never know.
It feels like he's not.
I personally have never come across anything that convinces me that Tom Hanks, you know, took part in that stuff. But if I saw his name in the Epstein list, I'd be like, yeah, it makes sense. They have, you know, he's breaking bread with
all
people
could
like
be,
that. Yeah.
but it would hurt my feelings if Tom Hanks was. You know what I mean? It's kind of like,
he loves you.
Well, it's more like how I want Tim McGraw and Faith Hill's love to be real. You know, there's certain kind of things where you're just like, let's just, you know, Tom, he seems so human and whatnot.
He's also from Sacramento, like me.
Oh, well, that speaks well of him.
Yeah, so I'd go up to fight for him.
Okay.
I'd be like, don't you say that about Tom.
Well, hopefully he's one of the good ones.
That 15-year-old was a slut.
All right. Well, so JT Kelley, thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
You are here as an expert, so to speak, on the Satanic Panic.
The Satanic. Do you know what the Satanic Panic is?
Yeah. Okay. Let's see if I've got it, because this is what I've heard about the Satanic Panic. This was a period in like the 80s, maybe early 90s, where there was this idea that there were like babysitting or like what daycare kind of groups where they were actually like maybe molesting the kids, maybe doing satanic rituals, and a lot of this was uncovered via like repressed memory therapy that had become kind of popular at the time. And then later, like eventually, we've come to accept that this was not real. Like those recovered memories were really kind of placed there by therapists. And a lot of therapy kind of can be real weird that way, where like, yeah, maybe people do have repressed memories that can be brought out, but also you can really kind of implant memories in people's
brain's a tricky thing, right?
It's a tricky thing, but so yeah, that's my understanding of it, that it's this, then that's why they call it a panic, and that it has to do with like something about like changing times where maybe because like women are working more and instead of just being at home with the kids, so now we're kind of blaming daycare for this stuff. So but my guess would be that probably not too many real satanic cults, like probably a very small percentage of babysitting or daycare facilities actually had like people wearing robes and doing stuff with fire and spells and whatnot. And that a lot of repressed memories were fake. But I mean, in light of like the whole, all these Epstein files being released and everything we've been learning, like, of course, I don't put it past there to have been some stuff.
I think that's a very reasonable position.
Okay.
I think you're primarily talking about a daycare in Manhattan Beach, California.
Maybe.
That's the one
I
where
don't remember the details.
The kids went through therapy. They did the hypno regression, and they started telling the most insane stories. Like teachers in the daycare are cutting open goats and killing kids and making us eat them and stuff like that. Like the most insane stuff ever. And it was Manhattan Beach daycare. A couple people went to prison for that.
Yeah. Yes. But they were later exonerated.
And do you know what they said when they were exonerated?
Huh.
Someone abused those kids. So the Manhattan Beach one's a really famous one because later in time, the FBI released that they did find tunnels underneath that daycare.
Okay, so where tunnels?
There were satanic stuff in that tunnel. So it kind of comes down to like how much of it was like showmanship to confuse the kids and how much of it was like, eyes wide shut ass, demon shit, and how much of it was just like perverts doing pervert stuff. And then the repressed memories was just kind of added on top of that,
Okay, so wait. So let me get this straight, because it seems like I am missing something. The name of this podcast is "Am I Missing Something?"
Oh yeah, I think we're both missing something.
Right. So, I never heard that there actually were some tunnels and some satanic stuff that was found.
Crazy, right.
But you're saying, was there ever any kind of conclusion to who was doing what satanically?
So the other famous case at that time was the one that involved Michael Aquino. Do you know Michael Aquino? He's the guy with the eyebrows like this.
That
his eyebrows twist up.
I feel like I've seen a few villains of history that had that same
cartoonish devil-looking guy. He's called the father of psyops. He was a psychological guy in the army during tail end of the Cold War. Mm-hmm. But he was a Satanist in San Francisco. And was involved with Antoine LaVey, who started the Church of Satan in San Francisco. Now,
maybe you're about to talk about it because I wanted to make sure we have a clear understanding of like what Satanism actually is.
Most Satanism is like more like the Lucian side Church of Satan. That's the Salem, Massachusetts. It's a political movement. They don't believe in the devil. They're atheists.
Well, yeah, there's the atheist. Yeah, because some of them are kind of being cute when
they're
say
being
Satan.
ironic.
Yeah,
I do have a position on that though. Okay. The Salem, Massachusetts irony Satanism. Mm-hmm. If my podcast is ironically misogynistic, at what point am I just doing misogyny, right? So I think that's true with Satanism. I would say a vast majority of Satanists, they're atheist or agnostic that just say, hey, this is a rejection of tradition. This is a rejection of religion.
Right.
No, I don't believe in Satan or Lucifer, which is actually why Michael Aquino left the Church of Satan. He said, Antoine LaVey is a jokester. I worship Lucifer. Okay. I have demons that come and talk to me. He did magic with Aleister Crowley and Jack Garbo or whatever his name was, the guy that made all the rocket ships for NASA.
Okay.
Just like people that are beyond the whole, hey, I'm doing Satanism irony, you know what I mean? But like I believe in the devil. I believe in the Temple of Set, like that type of stuff.
Okay, but this guy Antoine
LaVey was the guy that started the like Ayn Rand style Satanism in San Francisco, which is like the original Church of Satan.
Oh, okay. There's a lot of different people here.
The popular one that protests now is the one from Salem, Massachusetts, that I think it's called the Satanic Church or the Satanic Temple.
But they're doing it kind of because if you call yourself a church, you can get certain rights, and so they're using it for that. But these people who are sincere Satanists,
sincere Luciferians, is what they're
Luciferians.
To, yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry to dead name them. The Luciferians, they don't. I'm just guessing, but I don't know that they don't think of themselves as like evil, like that their idea is like we worship the devil and we're evil people. They're like, well, actually these demons have been unfairly maligned and maybe they spell demon with the AE thingy together, and then they're like, actually Satan was a good guy, misunderstood. Like, is it that sort of thing, or are they like
it's pretty mixed.
Evil?
I mean, there are people that are still in, the Temple of Set. And they're high priestess in the Temple of Set. And some of them are like, what are you talking about? I mean, like, oh, Satan, you mean self-interest? Satan, you mean the opposition towards Adonai? And then there's some people who are like, yeah, no, I'm doing this because I want to have superpowers. And I believe in alchemy. And I believe in eternal life.
I would like to sell my soul to the devil so that I could...
so pretty mixed bag of all those people. But Michael Aquino specifically, he believed in what was called the Temple of Set. So he would do meditations and talk to what he considered aliens or demons, and these demons would give him tips on earthly riches. Here's the thing. He did get super rich. He went on to be a Wall Street broker at one point in time. He started multiple businesses. Like, there's something to be said.
He got hot stock tips from the alien demons.
That's his claim. His claim was, I talked to Set in my temple, in the satanic offshoot I started, and he told me how to make money. But at the same time, the Manhattan Beach abuse scandal was going on. Okay. May or may not be true. We really just don't know.
Okay.
Something bad happened for sure, but we just don't. They probably weren't eating kids down there, right?
I don't know.
Reasonably.
I just saw an Instagram video of like some Latino woman who had escaped from one of the Epstein type parties, who was yelling in Spanish. She was yelling like, they were eating people, they were eating humans.
That's a claim out of Zorro Ranch too.
She was disappeared and killed, presumably.
Epstein.
But this is also just an Instagram thing I saw. But it was a video. It seems
hard to know if that's real. Epstein had a place in New Mexico called Zorro Ranch.
Zorro
Ranch, like the guy you're thinking.
Okay.
And part of his land he actually got from the governor at the time, King, as in from King Ranch. You know the King Ranch, the big one? In Texas?
Sounds familiar.
Biggest ranch in Texas called King Ranch. We have a Ford F-150 named after it.
Yeah, okay.
Goes all the way through New Mexico, Arizona, all that stuff.
Okay.
That estate that owns Zorro Ranch won multiple lotteries, which is like, what? How do you win multiple lotteries?
So the lottery's rigged.
Lottery's definitely rigged.
Right.
Lottery.
Every lottery is rigged, by the way. I know this because like I've been in on one before, like just for free passes to like Schlitterbahn. But you know what I mean? But I know because they put it out there as like, hey, we give 2 away a month, and then I go ask someone whose brother works there, and then I'm the winner.
Exactly.
So everything works that way, right?
Everything works that way. It's also, if you look into how many people that win the lottery have like CIA in their family,
right?
It's like, that's crazy.
Right.
But a very big claim from the New Mexico place is that there's bodies buried all over that property. And cadaver dogs did find some bodies, even pretty recently in the early 2000s, and buried those cases. But Michael Aquino, San Francisco, same time as Manhattan Beach, both in California, kids in this daycare were able to point out his house, were able to say, this is what's inside his house. We are being taken from our daycare into the Aquino home and being victims of satanic ritual abuse. SRA.
Were they like, they wore like the animal heads and stuff? Yeah.
Straight up the eyes wide shut style abuse.
Shut, Epstein, like what, Bohemian Grove is what it's called? Yeah.
Bohemian Grove, also California.
Right.
But at the same time, there were plenty of cases on different army bases across the U.S. where the daycares there were getting the same types of call-outs. And so that's what started the Satanic Panic. At the same time, Dungeons and Dragons and metal music were scaring Christian parents.
Right.
And so those two things went really hand in hand. And so instead of, there is, small groups of people across the country sexually abusing children with the aesthetic of Satanism behind it,
right,
and D&D is popular right now, both of those things became, your kids are listening to metal music and they are getting involved in Satanism.
Do you think that like that's just sort of like unfortunate coincidental tarring or whatever of the D&D and metal, or is it like that some people, how like the media will come out and try to be like, oh well, maybe it's this thing to try to distract from that there are actual,
like when they called the Columbine kids D&D fans and the trench coat mafia and stuff like that.
It feels like there's got to be people doing that on purpose,
and mall goth kids were like, what?
Right.
What?
Yeah, like, so I think it seems like that feels like people are intentionally trying to distract from the reality, because then if you can kind of say maybe it's D&D and metal, then we're going to be like, this isn't real, D&D and metal don't do that, and then the whole conversation of like the actual abuse gets lost.
Yeah, I mean, think about all the fake stuff you've seen about Epstein in the past couple of years.
Right.
Like, there's been so much just fake information about, I mean, even there's really funny fake emails with Elon right now. Have you seen those?
I don't think
there's
so.
Real Elon, Jeffrey Epstein emails, and then the fake ones are way funnier and way more popular.
I heard, I don't know what this is fake or not, because I haven't been able to look that deeply into anything. Like I said, I did a little bit on the Peter Attia stuff just because I was like, really, he seemed like a nice doctored guy to me. I don't know, but
pussy hound, turns out.
I mean, who isn't? And who knows to what extent any of these people were dabbling in various amounts of evil or just like a little bit of whatever. But the Elon, something was saying that he was like trying to get in on parties, and they didn't really like him enough to invite him to stuff.
So that's probably the fake one where he's saying like, when's the next epic party and stuff like that. The real one is he gets invited to a party. The real funny one is Epstein says, hey, you know, when the UN is meeting, we're going to have a bunch of interesting people on my island. You should come. And then Elon responds back. And he's like, I lead 2 companies and I'm doing this. Spending time with stuffy UN people is not up my alley. And then Jeffrey Epstein responds, what do you think, I'm retarded? It's all going to be cute people under 25.
Right.
No older than 25 is what he says.
Okay.
So, like, that's the funny one that's real, where it's like,
okay.
Elon was clearly trying to get the invite, and that's where the fake ones that I think you're referring to are way funny, where he's like, well, I'm free next week if you're having an epic party, Epstein.
Okay.
Yeah, those are so good. We wish those were real, right?
Okay. So that's, but what is real, you're saying, is that Elon was saying, I'm not going to a lame party, and then Epstein was like, well, come on, we're only having hot people under 25.
Yeah.
But we don't know how far back from 25.
Yeah, and we also don't know even if Elon went. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So there's nothing, you haven't seen anything particularly incriminating toward Elon?
Not in the Epstein stuff, no. Not really, no.
Okay, interesting.
I think the biggest people that need to be, like, in prison that are famous from the Epstein stuff are, like, the Peter guy, the Deep Rock, Bill Gates.
Bill Gates, yeah.
Kevin Hart.
He's out.
Bill, what's his name? Well, who's the guy from House of Cards again? Kevin. What's his name?
The guy who was like, I'm gay. That's why I fucked a 14-year-old or flirted with a 14-year-old.
You got to admit that's classic.
Oh, that was a fun one. But what's his name?
Kevin.
Is it Kevin?
Kevin Spacey. It's like
Kevin Spacey.
Kevin Spacey. Yeah, yes, Kevin Spacey. He also made a really good intimidation video when he first got in trouble, where he's was
he doing the accent from House of Cards?
And he's saying a bunch of coded language that you would understand if you're familiar with Epstein in a Circle, because this was either early 2019 or the end of 2018 when like this used to be a very special thing for me and my friends that study the orb, and we study the esoteric, and we stare into the orb, and we look into the abyss, and we go, oh, the secret darkest I know about.
You had you had an orb?
No,
or is that a figurative? Oh,
like like we stare into the orb. You know what I mean? We're,
okay,
we're modern
just
esoterics.
Because we started this conversation with the satanic. Okay.
Instead of being into like magic and alchemy, we look at the billionaires of the world and we go, "Oh, I know things about you that no one else knows." I've read Eye of the Chicken Hawk. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Eye of the Chicken Hawk's a fantastic book, by the way. I'm rereading the Franklin Scandal right now. Fan. Have you know Franklin Scandal?
Which one's that?
Oh my God, this guy named Larry King. He had a bank in Omaha. Not the one you're thinking. Black fella. Larry King. We can just call him Larry King Omaha.
Omaha, okay.
He had a credit union that he was stealing tons of money from, and then when you pierce it a little bit, he was also involved in what's called Boys Town, which was a home for wayward youth.
I remember the Boys Town rules. That was something in elementary school. There was something on all of our walls, like in elementary school. It's called the Boys Town rules, and it was some kind of. I'm gonna look this up.
Boys Town is another really good example of things that lead credence to the satanic ritual abuse stuff.
Yeah.
Because all the way up into the 90s, it was a well-known open secret that at Boys Town, kids were trafficked from Omaha to D.C. And when people came forward about it, people were murdered, people were disappeared. Nick Bryant, who's like a very famous Epstein journalist, he wrote a book called The Franklin Scandal. And it was a follow-up to this guy named, I think his name's Jeremy DeCamp, but he's the one that wrote The Franklin Conspiracy, which really goes into detail about how the grand jury and the Judge Van Pleur or whatever really covered this up, really just hid this mass ring of abuse from people.
Okay.
It's also tied to the Johnny Gosch story, just a lot of very famous politicians going out of their way to defend Larry King and Boys Town, but stuff like that, it breaks your brain. It makes you go like, oh, there's literally pedophile networks hidden behind almost every single major business in the U.S. Not because,
I saw that some stuff about Michael Jackson had come out. Have you seen?
From the Epstein files?
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
I just saw, it was one of those things where it was like, these are the people. So I'm very curious about that because, I've always assumed he was a pedophile since I was a kid.
Yeah. I know Michael Truthers.
I do. I know a lot of them, but I just, as a kid, because I wasn't like a fan of it, I didn't know anything about his, his impressive dancing and things. I just remember as a kid when the little National Enquirer, whatever, all the magazines, not even just National Enquirer, whenever they were kind of like, this guy maybe a pedophile, I was like, that guy visibly, yeah.
Even if you only believe in the stuff that he admitted to, where he's like holding hands with these kids on TV and sleeping in bed with them and having tickle fights, it's like, okay, even if you didn't fuck him, you should be in prison forever.
Or, I mean, because people were just making a lot of excuses like, well, he had a weird childhood, so he's emotionally on the same level with them or something. I was like, yeah, so was my brother, and he should have been locked up. COVID got him, but he should have been locked up.
I remember when the Neverland documentary came out, and I'll be honest, I was hoping for a Michael Truther doc to change my mind.
It wasn't that.
Yeah, and I watched it, and I was like, oh, this just makes me believe what I already believed. Like,
yeah.
I already think he was a pervert getting away with it, like most of those men in
All
Hollywood.
the people I know who are still Michael Truthers never watched that. It's kind of like the way, like, you don't want to watch a movie about the meat industry in this country if you want to not be a vegetarian.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you just don't watch it. So
for years, my kind of litmus test on how like bought in you were on what's considered conspiracy theories. Now I like to say true crime or hard-hitting journalism, so I don't sound crazy.
Yeah.
Was I'd ask if you'd read the Franklin Scandal or Bush Family of Secrets.
I did read Bush Family Secrets, or at least the first half of it or something. It's pretty dense.
So HW is they specifically talk about his relationship with Larry King in the Bush Family Secrets.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure if I got there or not.
Black
It's been years now since I read it, but
Russ Baker, I think.
Russ Baker. But I do remember being pretty swayed by their version of events. Like that the Bush family is a CIA family who orchestrated JFK's assassination, among other things.
No doubt. And
it's pretty
saying that to people that haven't read the information you and I have, it's like, hey, I'm going to sound crazy or you're not going to believe me. You know what I mean? So
maybe read the book.
You can kind of dance around these ideas in front of people without directly saying them. Otherwise, you sound like Alex Jones. You know what I mean? But I think it's on purpose.
But Alex Jones also wasn't wrong about everything, so it's
he
it's
broke
really
and clocked on
unfortunate.
plenty of stuff. Yeah,
and it's unfortunate that he was so wrong about the one thing because really discredited him. The kids, I can't remember what's the name of the school, the elementary school shooting.
Oh, Sandy Hook.
Sandy Hook, thank you.
He got sued for that.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah, he was saying crazy. I don't know. I get upset about that because I think it should be legal to be wrong, right? And if he's saying a bunch of false information, that's legal in my opinion.
But I don't think he was gotten to a criminal issue. It was a civil issue because because he kept saying that everybody was was conspiring, like that all these families were faking it. And so it led to so much, like people were, threatening them. And I don't know if there was actual violence against them or just a ton of threats and harassment of them.
Continuous harassment to this day.
Yeah. So he basically was directing people to harass people who had just lost their kids horrifically. Because he was saying this was a false flag and that they were, what do you call it? Like, crisis actors and stuff. So I think that's why he was successfully sued, because you can't do that. Like, I don't know if it's technically defamation or what, but it crossed a line, and he deserved to lose all of his money.
That's a pretty crazy position to hold, right? Is that those dead kids didn't really die, and that the parents are doing fake tears?
Yeah, I think he was off or on some meds at that time. You know what I mean? Because that's the problem with people who he probably is someone who has like high levels of dopamine, right? So then you're able to see patterns where other people don't see it yet. He's going to get, with all of the extra true positives that he's going to see, he's going to have some false positives in there. And it's an unfortunate thing. It's kind of like how schizophrenic people sometimes are sensing things because they have like more dopamine or something. You're going to see more connections. Some of them are going to be real, some of them not real. But I wish but if you also make so much money off of that, I think it can be pretty easy to go ahead and lean in toward just believing everything that you believe, and he could have said, hey, like, there's a chance I'm wrong on this.
Yeah.
Because of the nature of this one, let me ease up on, let's ease off the gas on calling these people crisis actors.
Wow. I mean,
he learned his lesson.
Talking about dead kids, right? Isn't that crazy?
I think he learned his lesson, at least to some extent.
I've never been an Alex Jones fan. You know about my history with him, right?
Oh, you do have some kind of history. I forget.
He made videos that saying men of God should stand up and kill me.
Of you.
There's still a video online because he got taken off YouTube, but taken off everything, right? But one of his like sub channels, a follower of his, made this video that's still on YouTube called "Rabid Communist Attack Alex Jones."
Well, you were a rabid communist.
Yeah,
for a while, to be fair.
Attack Alex Jones.
He didn't, and you didn't deserve to die, but
I'll give him that. I was definitely a Maoist at the time. There's no hiding from that.
Your politics were annoying for a while.
The most autistic politics you can have. Yeah. What's funny is I genuinely think if I didn't go through that phase, probably would have been more like Alex Jones. So I think it's good that like a good base of like Marxism and materialism led me away from like, yeah, angels are coming down from heaven and putting stuff in your water that are making your kids gay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I think it is good when you're younger to go ahead and be in some kind of cult-like scenario and then get out of it, so that then you are pretty inoculated against, you're like, oh, I was sure of these things and now I'm sure I was wrong. So therefore it gives you some humility.
If you don't have crazy ideas in college, or you're not involved in a radical org, it's like, come on, go through that phase now. Yeah. Do it now. Be 18 to 20 and do Occupy Austin or whatever it is now. Right. Do it. Get it out of your system.
Also, maybe you should raise your kids in an intense religion. Mm-hmm. And then when they're like 18, be like, hey, just kidding, dude. That's not real.
You look so dumb right now, by the way.
You look so dumb. I just want you to know. Nobody smart believes this shit. We just wanted you to, we wanted to keep you off drugs and sex and porn for a while, whatever. But also, we wanted you to know, kind of like the Santa thing, right? That's a little bit of that inoculation, right? Hey, you can believe something. Every adult around you could be saying it's true. And yet, it's not true. So
that's the funny part about, we want to raise our kids Catholic, right? And Jensen has these moments where she's like, oh, what if our kid's gay? And it's like, yeah, we're not going to do that part of Catholicism. Like, our kids, we're going to be like, yeah, we go to church. Think for yourself. Right. Yeah, for that exact reason. It's like good family, good community. Right. You're not drinking.
Look, this is a social network. Yeah. It can be a very profitable thing to be in a church community like that. Yeah. A lot of people, everybody at church believes a different set of this.
That's also the best thing about
Catholicism.
Yeah.
Right.
I just came back from California where I had to go to my dad's funeral at an evangelical church.
Yeah.
And it just reminded me how crazy they all are. Yeah. Do you want to hear something I actually heard from someone?
Yeah, of course.
This is actually in Manhattan Beach, too. Guy came up to me. Haven't seen him since I was 9 years old. And he goes, hey, I'm so excited that you're back in faith. I heard you're Catholic and not Christian, so that's unfortunate. But I also used to be wild. I was never as bad as you are. I've seen your stuff online. Some of it's pretty funny, but boy, are you far out there. I used to do orgies, sex parties, West Hollywood. Been married 35 years. Never cheated on her. Not even once. And fist bumps it. And I'm like, okay. Not cheating on your wife isn't something to be proud of. Also, the whole point of Christianity is like, I'm the worst sinner. I need to work on myself. The first thing you said is, hey, you're the worst sinner I've ever met in my life.
You're the least of these, so I'm the best right now for... I love the West Hollywood thing. Like, I feel like that's his way of being like, totally lots of gay stuff.
Totally lots of gay stuff.
A lot of it was gay.
He also said he got ran out of Nashville. He said pretty much for dating a few women at the same time and some other stuff. And I was like, okay. I imagine in the early 2000s, you don't have the accountability that you have now for men. All right? And if I went back, talked to those women, they wouldn't be like, oh, yeah, you dated multiple women at the same time. They'd be like, it's something else.
Yeah, rough. The evangelicals, like you said, what was it that was up on the walls in their church?
Oh, the anti-DEI documents and the anti-trans pamphlets written by Dr. Vadi Rauch or whatever his name is, Vadi Rauch or whatever.
Just like, that's something I do like about Mormonism, is at least they're not letting a bunch of pamphlets in the hallway. You know what I mean?
And my thing is, I'm usually a big evangelical defender. I'm usually like, we all hate them, and usually I'm like, oh guys, they're people that mean the best. Like, have an open heart. They're people that are incorrect, that probably want to be your friend. They'd probably help you mow your lawn. And then I go back to that church. I go, oh, no, I kind of hate them, too.
Yeah.
I forgot what they were like. I'm sorry for being a big fucking evangelical defender. I spent around. I was at a funeral with 200 of them.
Yeah.
They suck.
Yeah. It's not. It's the worst. It's literally the worst really of all the denomination situations. Christianity. It used to be Southern Baptists were the worst. Now it's just like the evangelical brand is the worst one. Fight me. But so Satanic Panic. So then what? But so there were these tunnels. But did we get any information? Like, what's your position now? Like, what is everyone missing about the Satanic Panic?
I think I'll tell you my position after I tell you the most reasonable position.
Okay.
The most reasonable position that I think most people believe is that in these daycares and with people like Michael Aquino and all of these other, well-established perverts, they were definitely abusing kids, and there's probably some either showmanship to make those kids' stories sound ridiculous, right? They're wearing masks and dressing in costume. Who would believe that?
Oh, is that why the people, Eyes Wide Shut type things, wear the outfits so that when people talk about it, they sound crazy?
That's one position.
If you're like, oh, I'm wearing it, they were wearing deer heads and then they were eating people, then you sound crazy. Whereas if they were just molesting people, then maybe they would be like, oh, really? Let's look into that. But okay.
Especially when you come from a bunch of kids. You know what I mean? And it's like, sure, a bunch of 8-year-olds saying that a goat man came in and ate a kid in front of him. Okay, buddy.
Right.
So that's a pretty reasonable position there.
Okay.
I also think that there's a lot of people that say, no, there was no sort of, organization. You're talking about individual sickos and perverts
rogue places
that are getting into trouble doing bad stuff, and they have nothing to do with each other.
Okay.
I have a more radical position.
Okay.
I'm of the position that these are perverts. They're just straight up perverts, and any guise that they have in order to commit their perverted acts, be it Satanism or artistry or whatever it is, they're just going to do their thing. They're just going to be perverts and do it. And they were definitely colluding with each other. I would say that the stories like the Franklin scandal or the North Fox Island or the Dallas snuff ring or the John Wayne Gacy murder ring, that's evidence enough to me to be like, okay, these people in small towns nowheres, they have international connections with murderers and perverts. So, like, that's enough for me to say, yeah, there is definitely some level. Oh, do you know what's a really famous example of that organization? So, a guy that was involved in the Dallas snuff film ring, which was like a big deal back in the 80s. It was related to John Wayne Gacy's murders. When he first went to prison, there's a really good video about this on YouTube called Murder for Fun and Profit. He starts a trade show magazine style thing for snuff films and for molesting children.
Yeah.
And it has thousands of members across the U.S. So that was pre-internet.
Right.
So they were organizing together.
Right.
Whether they were doing it under the banner of Luciferianism or satanic ritual abuse or whatever, these perverts found each other.
Right.
And they colluded with each other and helped them get away with it.
How widespread do you think, what percentage of daycares we're doing this versus just kind of not being the best place for kids,
right?
Generally,
even the ones that where kids get abused, right? So now every abuse case you think about for a daycare, it's like, is that someone in an international ring of perverts, or is that just your regular pervert Ron that lives down the street from you?
There's a lot of that too, but and also, I mean, yeah, okay, but it's still probably a small percentage of daycares that are involved in international,
But the Satanic Panic made it so the average position of someone scared of the Satanic Panic was a majority of daycares. Everyone playing D&D. Anyone that's getting tricked into a Slipknot. And just how ridiculous
so
does that
the
sound,
truth
right?
is that, probably the truth is that, like most daycares, maybe they're not the best place for kids to be if you can help it, but they're not involved in international molestation rings. But a weirdly large chunk of them were colluding with each other. I mean, we know that child sex abusers, I don't know what words to use to not get in trouble on YouTube.
She always wants to say really cool guys.
These people, they tend to work together. I know, they always had like lists of, they would send tapes to each other and whatever. I've tried to do a joke about this a few times about how I'm against the sex offender registry, just because because these people like to work together. So if you have to hey, I'm a child sex abuser, then it's like, really?
You're not going to believe this. Did you just hit
Come
the
on
jackpot?
in. Yeah.
You just knocked on the coolest neighbor's door.
Right. So maybe we don't help them find each other. Yeah, but so you basically what you're saying your radical position is that there has long been a real network of these monsters who are working together nationally, internationally.
Even think about the Finders Cult. You know the Finders Cult? So the Finders Cult are famous because they were tied up with the CIA, and then when they got caught in Florida, I think the guy's name was something Ramon, or either his first or his last name was Ramon, was the officer that caught it. He was a customs officer. And he's talking to these two guys with like 3 filthy kids in the back of their car. And they're like, okay, so what's going on here? And it's the 80s. So the guy hands him a business card explaining the Fifth Amendment, which in the 80s, incredibly rare. He's like, what? We're going to arrest you. What are you doing? These kids, they don't know what a toilet is. They don't know what a kitchen is. They've lived outside. They're not allowed to wear shoes. They're like, what's going on? So they find out the Finders is the organization they're a part of. And they go to their warehouse in D.C. within just a few days. In that warehouse in D.C., there is, it's to the brim with child abuse material, so much so that people are literally walking outside and throwing up and stuff like that. These are official documents.
Even the pedophiles are disgusting.
Yeah, even the pedophiles, like, just too much.
Too much for me.
Too much of a good thing is not a good thing, right? But the thing that's really disturbing of the Finder's Warehouse
Yeah.
is in the Finder's documents, they see not only are they tracking people that are putting ads out in the newspaper for things like babysitters and tutors, they're tracking the children that are involved in those, they're tracking the people's jobs and stuff like that. On top of that, in just a few days, they had a full recounting of what had happened between the customs agent and the 2 Finders members. So, like, there was clearly some sort of inside person telling them what's going on. And then the CIA later kind of admits, like, oh, they helped us with computer stuff. Because the Finders cult, at the time, they were doing very advanced computer work.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know if they were contracting directly with the CIA or if they're selling to it. It's kind of all murky.
Yeah.
But there's 3 really good books on that, too. And a website dedicated to following the Finders to this day. Wild stuff. But, like, just knowing about that makes you go, like, okay, so in every major city in America, there are people that are actively trying to traffic and abuse kids. And let's just say, you know, in every biggest city in the state, right? Houston, LA, Vegas. If it's just those, if there's 50 of them, that's enough to be talking about thousands of pedophiles. Thousands.
Yeah.
That's crazy, right? It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I was asking ChatGPT like what percentage of men are pedophiles.
It said 100.
it really was like, well, it's very hard to say, but it's probably somewhere between 1 and 20%. So
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I heard a statistic that 1 in 5 dudes were molested. And so I used to do the shows all the time where I'd say, raise your hand if you were molested. And no one would ever raise their hand. I'd say, what am I, the cutest kid in the world? What is going on? Like, how come every since I've heard that statistic, I bring it up. Or I go, hey, who else here was molested? And it's no one. I go, are you kidding me? What was wrong with me? Why did everyone else just go through life not worrying about this?
No, but it's such a stigma. Like, men don't want to admit that they got molested still.
Yeah, it does make you gay and weak. I agree.
Makes you gay and weak.
I agree.
Yeah,
I know
so you
it
can't
does.
say it in front of your date.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be weird, though, if you were on like a first or early date with a girl at a comedy show and the comic on stage is like, who got molested? And you're like, time to come out.
Just starts crying.
Yeah.
One time, the first time I headlined, it was Chris Castle's show in the Treehouse, and I had a joke about getting molested.
Loved that show.
And a guy comes up to me after, I swear to God, this is true. A guy comes up to me after the show, and he's like, hey, man, you talked about something that I went through when I was younger. I just want to say thank you so much for, like, giving that story strength. And I was like, oh, I was just being shitty. I didn't mean to do a good thing. Like, that's crazy. I felt so self-righteous after that. I was like, I did a good thing in comedy. Rare form. Usually I'm just goofing around. Tonight, I did good. I did good.
Goofing around can be a good thing. It's
very healing.
Can be very healing.
It's very healing.
Okay, so is there anything else before we wrap up, like that you would like people to not be missing about this story? What are their takeaways?
If you have any doubts as to what I'm saying, because what I'm saying sounds ridiculous. It sounds ridiculous to me, too.
It sounds increasingly less ridiculous in these times.
Especially what's going on with the Epstein stuff, and you look into how deep all these cover-ups go, and you look at how at the high level of every single organization and office, there are people that are willing to cover for pedophiles and will go out of their way and risk their career and their safety and their comfort. If you doubt what I'm saying, there's a few books I highly recommend. Okay. Both the Franklin scandal books, the one by Dwight, and then the one by Bryant. Okay. Both award-winning journalists. One was a senator, a veteran, a Vietnam vet, and then a senator. One award-winning journalist, and then Eye of the Chicken Hawk.
Eye of the Chicken Hawk.
Eye of the Chicken Hawk. It traces. It talks a lot about the stuff I was talking about with like John Wayne Gacy, because John Wayne Gacy wasn't in the same city as a few of his murders that he still got popped for. And when asked about it, he was like, yeah, well, someone else helped me with it. And it was like, wait, so you were only able to kill like 10 of those 25 children that we found? And he says like, yeah, the rest someone helped me with. And that was like a known thing in the Gacy case. That alone should make you go, oh, why didn't they investigate that?
Right.
So if you doubt what I say, I understand. I know this sounds crazy. I know I sound like a less well-spoken Alex Jones, but there is good research out there that if you look into it, you have to go, oh, we should save the children.
Right. And I guess that's my big takeaway of this. Like with the Epstein stuff and with all this other stuff, like we should save the children. It's worse than we still think, you know? It's
So
worse
much,
than
yeah.
what most people think. I know some people are going a little overboard on Instagram with like the particulars, or if they, you know, some people are very like ideologically, like politically, like they're still convinced that their side really didn't do anything, but it's look at these Republicans or look at these Democrats that we
Sad,
should
right?
really be looking at. But it's obviously all over the political map.
Mm-hmm.
It's all lots of powerful people and lots of people at every level of power or lack thereof. And yeah, I just remember like growing up in the 90s, how I remember thinking it was weird. There were a lot of men in the 90s who had this real posture. It was like bumper stickers or just something that they would say, what they would be like, kill all pedophiles. That was like a big thing. There was a lot of energy of like, if I see a pedophile, kill him. And I remember being like, all right. Like as a kid, I'm like, well, Jesus, you are the ones who seem a little obsessed with the pedophilia.
I got a hot take there too.
I mean, some of them have been.
Not only that, I would argue, because you know those videos that came out more recently where instead of just confronting someone trying to meet a teen online, they start beating them up?
Right.
I first saw that, and my first reaction, oh, this is
That guy's
hilarious.
pedophile. Oh.
And then I love that. I started scrolling, I was like, oh, this is someone who wants to do violence and is finding the only group of people that we can all agree it's good to do violence on.
Right.
And instead of finding them in positions of power, they're tricking like retarded people and like 19-year-olds who are talking to 16-year-olds, stuff like
Right.
that, where it's like, that's not what we're going
That's
at
not
here.
where we're going at. Yeah.
But I made this prediction, and you can listen to a bad news episode from, I think, 2023, where I made this prediction, and it's already happened. I said, fascists are going to use this method to trick gay men that are 18 into going to have sex with a 17-year-old and then beat up that 18-year-old gay guy and call him a pedophile. And it's already happened. You have fascist organizations using that as an organizational tool. Because, I mean, who else can you beat up, right? Who else is everyone okay with you doing violence against? Who else will... If I beat up almost anyone, no one's going to put money on my books. If I beat up a pedophile, they're like, oh, dude, money on your books.
Yeah.
We're going to take care of you if you have to go to jail.
Yeah.
So my hot take there is the reason that's bad is not because they're beating up pedophiles. Everyone loves that. The problem is A, vigilante justice, always a slippery slope.
Right.
And then B, it's going to be used for fascists to beat up gay people, which is
Yeah.
already happening.
Yeah. So we need to really be trying to. How? I mean, is there any way to improve the situation here? You know, for us, what do we do to? I mean, keep your vet your daycares, but what do we?
Daycares, splash holy water in every daycare.
I don't, you know,
and there's just
what do we-
Catholic dudes molesting them. Yeah.
Right, but what do we? How do we make any progress as a society? Those of us who aren't pedophiles.
You know what's
do we do?
unfortunate is the most popular thing was like the German approach, which is like, oh, we need to be there for pedophiles. If you're a pedophile, you should go to counseling. You
Right,
should be offered
like the
castration
drug
for
addicts.
free. Yeah,
Right.
treated like a drug addict.
Right.
But Germany also was literally giving pedophiles children to adopt because the position up until the 90s, early 2000s, they were giving orphans that were children to pedophiles, and the German position was like, who's going to love a kid wanting a pedophile?
No.
Yeah. There's actually a really good New York Times article about it where it talks about.
I did read that.
And
yeah.
it sounds like a lie. It's like there's no way the government was giving. But I think that's the closest. Is like you simultaneously need the carrot and the stick. You know, and the pedophile goes, "Ooh, which one's going up my butt?" But the carrot, like I do think that if you're a non-offending pedophile, is the term. There's hope for you. You should get castrated. I know it's such a radical opinion, but it's like remove that, get castrated.
Well, they can give you even pills that will, you know what I mean? Like,
Trust me, we're giving them to 10-year-olds in California, am I right?
I know. So yeah, take those pills away from the kids and give them to the
To
pedophiles
the
again.
pedophiles. Tell the pedophiles that they belong to a kid. They'll love it.
Right.
They'll love it.
Exactly.
I think it's both. I think, we need the intervention on pedophiles. We do. We need to not, prioritize them, but instead, do something about them.
Yeah.
And then also, like, I mean, the example I think of is my mom when she was getting abused in small town Mississippi. She goes to her pastor and is like, "Hey, my stepdad's abusing me," and he goes, "Oh." Calls over her stepdad and is like, "Are you doing this little girl?" Okay, well, she's just a liar. You know what I mean?
Right.
We need better reporting in place. We need good reporting in place that actually is an accountable, something that can be criticized. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not behind closed doors.
Right. And I have heard, that a lot of people who, like, there are non-offending pedophiles, like people who they're like, I'm attracted to kids, but I really don't want to do it. And they say they're really afraid to talk to therapists because the therapist might, like, they don't really know. It's a gray area whether they get reported or not. And so if they get reported, obviously their lives will be ruined. And so I think we do need some kind of path for people who are struggling with this horrendous situation to be able to go get therapy.
I think that's an unfortunate truth.
Right.
Like,
I know it's like disgusting
gut
for
reaction
everyone.
is like,
I know,
but it's an unfortunate.
But there are
truth.
these
Yeah.
people, like, and maybe they were born that way. Maybe they were molested as kids themselves, and now that's the thing that was what happened. So a lot of these people, I would say the majority of them, are probably victims of child sexual abuse themselves, right? So like, let's give them a path to, just like we want the heroin addicts to have their what do you call that one thing?
Narcan or whatever. Not
No,
Narcan. Suboxone.
Or starts with a D. I can't think
The
of
thing they take that means they can't get high, right?
it. Yeah, but and it not the thing. I don't even know if it makes it so they can't get high. Maybe it does, but it's
Methadone.
Yeah, the
methadone
methadone
clinics,
things. Yeah, some kind of situation where we're doing that, where we're recognizing, instead of just condemning you. And
I do like the idea of a pedophile methadone just being like someone like Heath from Mothership.
yeah,
Where it's like, dude,
pituitary disorders or whatever.
you get 20 minutes with this guy once a month if you're good.
Right. Yeah.
If you're good, 20
Remember-
minutes with this adult that
remember
looks like a kid.
Ava had a horrible joke about how they should use like trans women who are adults, but they're newly on hormones, so they have like the teenage boobs.
That's pretty funny. But what you said is like I think it's one of the most unfortunate realities where it's like, yeah, at the end of the day, we need to do everything we can to protect kids. Give kids good systems to get out of situations like that. Give them actual options. A lot of that is by addressing
some kids do
financial
need
stuff.
to escape their homes.
And then we also got to make sure if you are willing to say, hey, I'm a sicko and I have these feelings, great. We have actual help for you and you're not in trouble because you didn't do it.
We might chop your balls off, but you're not in trouble.
I mean,
or whatever, pills or something, But,
but
then we have to make sure they're taking them every day.
I also think I have the worst opinion where I'm like, okay, I don't think in reality we can actually castrate them, but that's gut reaction. I'm like, well, we should just castrate them.
Well, if they volunteer for it.
Yeah.
How about it's like, hey, you volunteer, you can cut your balls off, or you have to take these pills and you're coming in to give us a piss test once a week.
You know what else? Is the same people that really
to make sure there's no little boy semen in your
Oh, have you seen, I don't know who it was, but the joke about microplastics in cum?
That sounds familiar.
There's this, I don't know who it is. This guy goes, everyone has microplastics in their cum now, which is horrible. Like whether you're a rich man or a poor man. And I heard, dang, a billionaire has microplastics in his cum? Like, that's dangerous. Kids eat that.
Yeah.
I can't know who it was, but very good joke.
That's a great joke. Okay, well, JT, thank you so much for your insights into the Satanic Panic dynamic. And is there anything that you would like to tell the good people and direct them to in your...
Check me out on Pendejo Time. I'm on there anywhere from 1 to 4 times a month. It's a great show. It's really funny.
Where can you find Pendejo Time?
Wherever you listen to podcasts. Wherever you're listening to this right now, search Pendejo Time. Scroll until you see JT or JT and Jake episode. Plug in, baby.
That's you. All right. Thank you so much, JT.
Hell yeah. Thank you, Ariel Isaac.
Yeah.
Norman.